to live Satsang with Di and Anjali. Today, we have a guided meditation for you. Space where all is one. And Di is going to attempt to guide you into that space. And after that, Anjali and Di will have an informal discussion about spiritual awakening. And if any comments, as always, please welcome. And then we'll conclude. Ready, Anjali? You reckon we should just dive into it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. As ready as ever. Okay. So we're going to make ourselves comfortable, as always. Just do what you usually do when you are doing your practice. We can follow the breath. We can use the mantra. We're gradually moving away from mental images, from engagement with the thoughts. We are moving away from all the divisions, differences, forms, opinions, from all that engagement, moving away and deeper and deeper. Where do they all come from? From the space where all is one. And we are gradually moving deeper into that space where all comes from. Where all appears and disappears. Where emptiness reigns and light. We are going deeper and entering that space that is the source of everything. but is empty, where all is one. And all there is. It's spreading. It's comforting. It's absorbing everything. And all is one. So free as one. So unlimited as one. So loving as one. And there is nothing else. Nothing else but that space where all is one. And everything dissolves into that space of light. And all is one. An absolute freedom, an absolute love, an absolute bliss. Never to leave. It's always here. Everything else is coming and going and leaving all the time. But this space never leaves. Never. It doesn't start, it doesn't end. And all is one. Pulsating, vibrating, spreading through the heart. Nothing else but bliss, nothing else but love, nothing else but being free. Wanting to stay there forever. Be that forever. Be that one. Be that one that has no other. Be that one. That is all there is. And completely disintegrate it, dissolve it, spread it, till there is nothing. Emptiness. And everything else just appearing and disappearing momentarily when we go high up. But in here, deep inside here, deep, deep, Oh, such a bliss. We're all is one. A bliss. Peace. Balance. Love. Freedom. Nothing is outside. It absorbs everything. Everything. And everything is the same. Inside this space where all is one. Nothing is more or less, better or worse. Everything is the same. And everything is love, acceptance, an open heart. All is one. Allow it to spread. Allow it to be all there is. Allow it to take over. Allow the bliss and love to be all there is. Where all is one. All is one. And this vibration felt through the heart in this light, in this love, in this bliss. Never to end. It goes on and on and on and on. And when we leave this space, we haven't really left it, it's there. We're still there, but just a bit more to the surface. But the space is there. We can always feel it. We can always keep in touch. We can always have a bit of light in our eyes that comes from that space where all is one. And we go there whenever we can. And we indulge ourselves in this true being of one. We spread there. We dissolve there. We dissolve inside this light and love and bliss. oneness. Oneness is the freedom. It's never too much of it. It's what is. It's the source of all the creation. We're all is one. This space where all is one is open. It goes all the way up, all the way to the surface, all the way to where all the mental concepts and thoughts appear and disappear, come and go, all the way. We can keep it open at all times. Not always as deep, but open. Always open. Always taking part in it, even that little bit, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and more, and deeper, and more. Keeping this space open. And it shines through. It shines through the eyes, through the face, through your actions on the surface, through your thoughts on the surface. It shines through and it guides you. This space where all is one, of acceptance and bliss and love and freedom. It's such a bliss. It's such a love. It's such a light. It's such an openness. It's such a oneness. And in a moment or two, we will gradually make our way back up to the surface. But we are not going to close this space. We're going to leave it open. and move up and down inside this space. Sometimes deeper, sometimes closer to the surface, just underneath the surface, just on the edge, and sometimes very deep. We're leaving this space open and going up gradually, slowly. Still feeling the space, still occupying the space, never leaving the space. We're all is one. When you're ready, you can open your eyes, but don't close the space. Stay with the space as much as you can. It's always here. The oneness, the space where all is one is always here. We might not know it. We might not be aware of it. But the more often we access it, the more we will know it, the more we will be aware with it, the more we will become one with it as is, all is one. And we will be able to keep this space open more and more and more. Always present, always there. Thank you for allowing me to enjoy myself. And it's just so lovely. And I hope that somehow we can share this on a certain level. Because we always share it when we're not fully engaged in the thoughts. Which we are most of the time.
I just find it hard to come out and find words again.
Me too. And with time it stays open. It really stays open. The connection, the passage, the channel.
Can you say a little bit
And you
more
talk
about that?
less.
Yeah. Can you say a little bit
Yeah,
more
you
about how
talk.
to keep that open? Because I find I'm doing things in the world and I lose that space.
I think the main difference happens when the habit of non-attachment is fully developed and takes over. That is when the main switch occurs, the main switch. So you practice non-attachment. I mean, always the same. I'm talking always the same. I apologize, but I just want to stress this out. Life is a habit. Through growing up, developing from a baby onwards, we develop habits, and these habits are our life, what do we call our life. And if we want to keep this passage open and even get in touch with this real existence, unprocessed, not mentally processed, we need to change these habits. I mean, there is no other way around it. There is just no other way. Otherwise, you can have these instantaneous, openings when something might sort of occur to you or not, and that there are just left to
Mm,
whatever, if you're sometimes in some extreme circumstances, and then you go back to your normal, and you might be even broken after all that you experienced, and shocked. But when you change your
mm,
habits, this is it. This is when it all starts occurring on a completely different level. And then this effort that we're putting in while practicing is not an effort anymore. It just happens automatically. As I said in one of the videos, one morning you get up and everything is the same, the mental images, but nothing is the same because there is no more
mm,
attachment. Everything is just passing through and the channel is open and you can go
mm,
up and down as you feel like it. And you're inclined and you're pulled in to go deeper and deeper. But obviously, when you are interacting and when you're doing things, you go high up. But the channel is always open. Like, I want to give an example. I was thinking about this. Like, I am someone who has had a chronic lower back pain and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, for decades. And what I needed to do to make it more bearable and to make it better and blah, 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 I had to completely change the way I walk, change the way I move my muscles, which was habitual and automatic.
mm,
And it was a process, and I'm still in that process. But while I'm still in that process and I'm changing this habit of walking, I walk differently. I learned to walk differently. I learned the habit of walking differently. Took me ages and it's still ongoing. But I
mm,
reap the benefits as I go. It pains less. I'm more mobile. I'm more flexible. I can do more. I can walk more, and so on. It is the same with a habit of attachment. It is a habit. We need to change this habit. And it was, I mean, bloody hard.
mm.
It was hard. I'm not saying it wasn't hard. It was hard. It took time. It doesn't happen overnight. But I persevered and I'm getting there. I'm almost there. The pain is less and less, as I said, blah, 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 the benefits. And this is the thing with this habit of attachment. We are developing a habit of non attachment through practice. And it is hard, and it is hard, and it's getting easier as we practice. And we're
Mm,
reaping benefits as we go. This is the thing. As we go, as we progress, we are reaping benefits. It is not like, from 0 to 100 in one, and then it just everything is there. It's a progression, but the
right.
benefits are there gradually, and it's hard from the start, depending, of course, on, some people have some high levels of spiritual development from previous life cycles, and for them it could be a bit easy. I could have been one of these people. That's not to be underestimated, but on the other hand, the changing of a habit is a crucial.
Mm,
Without that, it stays like a struggle. You have to police yourself all the time. You have to be in some sort of a, alert all the time. And when you get up on the surface, you block completely this space,
mm.
this channel that should be left open. You block it completely because you just attach straight away, 100%. So it's a
Mm,
process, but there is a way to make ourselves completely ready to keep this space open, ready to sort of reap the benefits, changing the habits. That one habit, and then there is many others, but that one is crucial. Do it make sense, Anjali?
It does. It does. It's funny because I have to hear it like hundreds of times. I mean, it's all the same stuff that you've said, that all my teachers have said. Same non-identification. You have to become disinterested basically in thoughts. witness the thoughts. I mean, all the expressions, but it's just, it has to be practiced. And in the beginning, it feels
The
very
practice, all
laborious.
there is. The practice is all there is. And the more
Mm,
you practice, the easier it gets, the more you get pulled. Because we're talking about a natural state, what we live is not a natural state, and we suffer the consequences. We have a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of unpleasantness, fear, and all the rest. We also have the ups. But when all put together, and by the way the life is panning out, we all know how it goes. You know what I mean?
mm,
Practice.
yeah.
We need to practice. It doesn't happen without practice. That's why spiritual awakening is really for people who are willing to dedicate themselves in a certain degree, less or larger, depending on a person, who are willing to practice, who are willing to put an effort in to start with to practice. Otherwise, we can just indulge in this mental diarrhea all the time, and
Mm,
even
mhm,
about enlightenment, we can just, have this constant area of enlightenment, listening and listening and watching and reading and about enlightenment and just feeling
yeah.
so nice, but does not make any difference, or very little difference. But it adds up somewhere. It adds up. You're opening yourself to exposing yourself to something else than what is the mainstream.
Right.
But this is just a tiny, tiny bit. This is just a tiny bit. Like, I've started by listening to these things for hours every day. Hours. The same thing, the same thing, the same thing. And one day, and then I practiced. And then I didn't want to listen anymore, and I just lost interest in everything. And then one day, I saw a thought again, or I heard it, or I saw it somewhere again, a thought that I've seen millions of times, which is all is mind. There is nothing but the mind. I've seen that millions of times, Angie, and I've
Mm,
heard it so many times that I got sick of it. Didn't I understood it, but it was nice. It was really nice. I sort of thought, wow, you know what I mean? Like, wow. And
right.
one day, I heard it, and I completely understood it. Not understood it here, but I
Right.
just knew it.
Mhm.
I knew exactly. I don't want to say the word. This is it. This is it. I've been staring at it all the time. I've heard it so many times. But one day I just got it. And this is it. What happened is that, you see, the things align. The things align. All this exposure to talk about enlightenment, it adds up too. It all, your practice, your change of the way you live. You talk less, you interact less with the media, with blah blah. You don't do the gossiping and the small talk and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You practice. You
Right.
spend time in nature.
Right.
You change jobs if necessarily. There's a lot of things. It all aligns. It all aligns. And it happens. Look,
Do you
it's
think a
happening
certain
every
amount of
day to people.
suffering, yeah, do you think a certain amount of suffering is like a prerequisite for that process to get it fueled up or fired up?
I think that people who embark on this journey suffer a lot throughout their lives before they embark on this journey in earnest.
Mm,
And I think that this suffering, in a way of not fitting in the surface world
mm,
the way it is, in not fitting, not finding your place, feeling that it's just not right, that it's just not, it's not right. And all this suffering that you feel is for nothing, and all this, it's just very hard to place yourself in this sort of world that everyone is seemingly this is just seemingly embracing. Most
mm,
people are suffering anyway, but the people who embark at a certain point in their life seriously on a quest for spiritual awakening, whatever we call it, these people suffer more, and
mm.
that brings them to the point, would they seriously, earnestly embark on this? Because what else is there?
Yeah.
You're not fitting anyway. I mean, you're not enjoying yourself anyway. You're not feeling this wonderful whatever life. You know what I mean?
Right. Mhm.
You can't find your place. So you suffer more, and that brings you to this point where you say, I'm just going to do it, or if I die, I'm
Mm.
going to die anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's died from it, but I'm just
Yeah, no, that's a perfect analogy. You get to the end of the road, nothing to do but this
completely,
or die.
complete,
Mm.
completely. I had this one video, tired of life or whatever, blah blah, and I had so much response from people on that video. Not even necessarily people who are seeking spiritual enlightenment, don't even know about it, but people who are just tired of life, tired of
Mm.
living, tired, fed up with it. There's a lot of people out there. Let's not underestimate that. But people who embark suffer even more.
Hmm.
The not fitting is even more obvious. The inner struggles are even bigger. And that brings them to that point. But there is a lot of people out there, who suffer to a lesser or higher degree of. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
We get to
there
a
is a way.
mm.
There is a way. Please.
No, we get to a point where there's no words. I just was sitting here thinking it's just silence again.
Yeah. That is the key.
Mm.
Angie, for example, you and me, once when we're both on the same level, we can just sit and communicate without
Mm.
actually, you know, translating all this. Because once you're a little bit deeper, you are translating into words. Whatever you know and is there, everything is there. You're translating it into words and then communicating those words to someone else. But that is already a translation. But when we're all on a certain level, we can sit on that level and communicate without translation.
Hmm. Would there be
But,
anything to communicate about? I mean,
oh, yeah, I mean,
like
absolutely.
it it
We
just
can communicate whatever we want. Spiritual awakening, going deeper and deeper, it's a process. It's like there are many people living at this moment who have gone much deeper than I have, who have spent more time in silence, who have
mm.
asked themselves more questions about how it all, comes together, how it all eventuates, how, whatever these life cycles or whatever, whatever. I personally have not spent as much time in silence and gone as deeper as some other people. But I do ask myself questions when on the surface, and then I go and sit and I get the answers. I understand things more. And I don't even have to translate.
Mm.
But I was never that very particularly interested in how it all goes. But it's good to know. You know what I mean? There are
Right,
people who have a bit more interest in detail. You know what I mean? Of how this, how that, how you know what I mean? How the life cycles, what happens after life cycle. We know when does the form dissolve or enter another form. Oh, blah, 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 blah.
right,
I do not hold much of particular interest in these things, but there are people who do and who sit and get into a very very detailed you know
right,
knowing about all this. What I want to say is it's just a process,
right.
and we still enjoy life. Mental images are to be enjoyed. I want to talk about this too.
Please,
I live
yeah,
in the nature. I enjoy nature. I absolutely enjoy nature. I enjoy gardening. I enjoy raking the leaves. I enjoy walking in the bush. I enjoy that fully. I understand that these are mental images that change all the time. I understand that I can go into the area where there is no mental images. I understand that one day there will be no more of these mental images, and hopefully I will not have to go into another cycle, but who knows? But I enjoy them. And since I've opened up and since I've stopped attaching, I enjoy it so much more. You know what I mean?
Mm,
It's not that we are suffering from mental images, but everything becomes more, not just easier, but more enjoyable. You see, this makes changes regarding the mental imaging, regarding the how you experience mental imaging, how you sort of experience life moment to moment. It all gels. It is not this, we have this threshold here or whatever we
right.
call it. Then we're here and then we come here and we're somewhere else and now we're suffering these mental images and whatever else. And it is not like that at all. It all
Mm,
gels. That's why I say this space stays open and it translates into the mental images in everyday life, and they become more in sync with the space. Everything
right.
becomes in sync. What happens becomes in sync with the space. Like what I've
Mm,
told you, I put the word out and I was waiting for you. I was waiting for that person. I knew that person was going to contact me. I didn't know it was you. I didn't know you, but I knew it. I mean, the things are in sync. When I
right.
need something, when something happens in life, some situation that the things go the way that it materializes on a mental level.
Right.
This is just, you can't understand this, Angie, before you are there. But I'm just a witness,
Right.
an honest witness that that's how it is. And I'm not the only one, but you know what I mean?
Right.
And I just feel that we should try and help people to get themselves in a position where they can open that space and where they can keep it open as much as possible, and where everything sort of gels and everything from
Yes.
that space translates and spreads into the mental imaging.
Yes. That would be. Mm,
That's why I always say all is one. Let's not make this division between this is my, mental imaging life, caught in the mental concepts, and this is my, practice life when I go in. Of course, at the start, there is a very stark division and very stark difference. But the more we practice, the more we open this space, lesser the difference, more it all gels in one. And this is the key. It is all one. I'm not throwing away any of this world. I really
yes.
love it. I enjoy it.
Yeah. That's
But
where I'm
it's
stuck is the integration of those two. I can't seem to there's practice time and then there's like being in the world time.
that's why you need to practice while in the world.
Mm,
There is no way around it. You need to do it whenever you can during the day. And I know I'm repeating myself again, but that is the key.
I know. I
Otherwise,
see
you
it.
stay stuck in these two separate worlds. One, when you practice and when all it can be blissful and lovely and loving
Yeah.
and whatnot. And then another world when you come up and you are bogged into these attachments straight away. And you find no way of distancing yourself. You're just attaching because this habit of attaching is still the main habit.
Yeah.
So you need to change it. You have to practice. Practicing when you're not sitting is more important to my understanding than practicing when you're sitting. Sitting
I,
is the start
yeah.
because the body is still and it's easier, but the progression is absolutely so important into your day. I mean, when you're not practicing.
Absolutely. I'm getting that. Yes.
And then you do what you need to do, and the else happens when it happens. That's the attitude. But you need to do what you need to do. And then you're open for everything to happen when it happens, whichever way it happens.
Right. I see it.
I know these are just the words, but I hope they encourage people in some way, because it's just an honest account. It is not a, I don't know, you know what I mean?
It's
Something that I
beautiful.
read somewhere, but it's something that I live. That's why I can be a witness of, as they say in religion, I'm a witness of I don't know what, you know what I mean?
Mm,
But I'm an honest witness of what actually transpires. And there are
right.
many others, Angie. There are many others through the history of mankind. There are many others. And every day there are more.
But it's different having someone alive who's like in a body to talk to. I mean, it's different than reading a text or, despite the inspiration of the words, they're still alive in the text, but it's different talking to you. You're in a body, you've
Yeah, because,
experienced, yeah.
and we're somehow, when we're alive together, we're somehow opening the space. I know it is not, in a big way, but somehow it it is helpful. Opening the
Mm.
space while alive together can affect people and help them with their practice. And
Oh, it's entirely
that's why
different.
I think
Yeah.
it's,
Hmm.
yeah, more beneficial than just reading, as you say, or watching something, that was made,
Yeah. As a seeker, we need a kick in the butt from you.
well, with time it will become less of a kick in the butt, but more of a, maybe even a need, to sort of
Mm,
join other who are opening the space, and just be in that space, and, opening that space yourself.
mm.
So I think that we'll be going more in this direction with our future satsangs, or whatever we call them, if you agree.
Oh, absolutely. We should. And viewers too out there, if you have comments, please leave them in the comment box section. If you'd like to see particular formats for this, we're kind of navigating a different format, and we're feeling it out.
Yeah, we're trying to put out a system that we can say, this is a system how you get yourself ready to enter the process of spiritual awakening, a system, holistic approach.
Mm,
And we're going to have weekly meetings like we have them now, but targeting this particular system, going from one area to another area to another area. We'll give it a go next week and see how we go.
yeah. Yep. I'm out of words.
So look, I've almost exhausted myself, and I have really, I have nothing more to say. But we will say more next week.
We will. There's always more words, just not now.
No. Thank you.
So, yes. Thank you.
Next week, same time, same place.
We'll see you next week.
See ya.